was my first week at the University of Toronto. We're going back to 1978 now. I went to Hart House. It was clubs night. And I walked in, and there's the table for the archery club, and the debate club, and the chess club, and the photography club. And there's a table that simply says, U of T Radio. And a light bulb went on above my head. Not literally, well, maybe literally. Something just clicked. And that changed everything and set me on a different course. But the more I think about it, you know, what I'm doing now is not so different from what you do. We are all in this room in the business of promoting literacy. We are in the business of promoting education. We are trying to create more engaged citizens. We are trying to promote more critical thinking. We are trying to encourage people to read. This may sound strange for a guy who makes his living on a television set to be promoting the notion of turning off the television set and reading a book, but I think that's a nice thing to do from time to time. Not at 8 o'clock at night, of course, but we do have authors on the agenda every week, so we do love to promote reading. One of the joys of the job I have is that I get to read a lot. I usually get to read 1 or 2 or 3 books a week, and it's really wonderful. Let me do a bit of a list here. Last week alone, I read The Way of the Strangers, Encounters with the Islamic State by Graham Wood. Interviewed him yesterday. He'll be on in the days ahead. I also read Steal Away Home, One Woman's Epic Flight to Freedom and Her Long Road Back to the South by Carolyn Smarts Frost. That book won a Governor General's Award for Nonfiction. She was on the show last night. If you missed it, go to our website, tvo.org. The interview's there. Fascinating story about a woman's quest for freedom 150 years ago. I read David Armitage's book, Civil Wars, A History in Ideas, and I interviewed him this morning, and that interview will be on in the days ahead as well. I am just about to start A World in Disarray, American Foreign Policy and the Crisis of the Old Order by Richard Haas. Really looking forward to ripping off the cover of that one. And after that, I'll be reading In the Black, My Life by Denham Jolly. This is a pretty eclectic, disparate reading list, and the best part about it is, of course, I get to talk to these authors and ask them anything I want for 20 or 30 minutes. My kids have a way of sort of describing what that is. They say, Dad, your job doesn't suck. That's what they say. I forgot one, actually. I'm actually reading one other book right now. I did not mention this. It's called Silverwing by Kenneth Opel. How many of you know? Yes, okay. There we go. Well, so, okay, for those of you who don't know, it's about bats. And it's on my daughter's grade 8 curriculum list. And many of you in this room, of course, know the book. Oh my goodness, there's a camera rolling here, and I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying this, but I am going to say it, and I hope she will forgive me after the fact. My daughter is not a particularly confident reader. She reads, but she doesn't retain all that well. And she is one of those kids who's always questioning whether she's reading fast enough or well enough, and if she gets to a word she doesn't quite get, she kind of criticizes herself, and we're sort of working on that. So we're reading the book together. And, you know, every night for, I guess, about an hour, you know, we just started last week. She'll read a page, and then I'll read a page, and she reads a page, and I read a page, and then we sort of discuss the plots as we go along. And we're hoping that by doing it this way, she'll not only become a better reader, but she will discover how much bloody fun reading is, because it's just so much fun. And at the moment, it's not fun enough for her, but we're working on it. So, I didn't quite make it into teaching like those of you in this room did, but I'd like to think that we're all sort of in the same racket. Which leads to subject number 2, alternative facts.